You woke up knowing something. For a moment, you were somewhere else. There were people there, a place you half recognized, a feeling so vivid it followed you into the light. And then you reached for it, and it was gone. You just lost an entire world, and your brain did it on purpose. Think about that. You spend roughly 2 hours every night dreaming. 6 years of your life, if you make it to 80. 6 years of experience, of stories, of images stranger than anything you could invent while awake, and almost all of it vanishes within minutes of opening your eyes. You are the author of a nightly epic you will never read. Why? For most of human history, people assumed forgetting was just failure, a leak, a weakness in the machine. Your memory was supposed to hold things, and dreams simply slipped through the cracks. But the real answer is far stranger. Your brain is not failing to remember your dreams. Your brain is actively erasing them. There is machinery inside your skull whose job, it seems, is to make sure the night does not follow you into the day. To understand why, you have to understand what your brain is actually doing while you sleep. You think of sleep as switching off. It isn't. At night, your brain is one of the busiest objects in the known universe. It is sorting. It is filing. It is deciding, moment by moment, what to keep and what to throw away. The day gave you thousands of experiences. Most of them are noise, what you had for lunch, the color of a stranger's coat. Your brain cannot afford to save all of it, so during sleep it runs a kind of overnight audit, strengthening the memories that matter and letting the rest dissolve. The researcher who has spent decades mapping this is Robert Stickgold, a sleep scientist at Harvard. His work showed something counterintuitive. Sleep does not just preserve memory. Sleep transforms it. While you dream, your brain is replaying fragments of your day, testing them, weaving them into what you already know. The dream, in this view, is not the message. The dream is the sound of the sorting happening. It is the exhaust of a mind-cleaning house. And here is the twist. If the dream is the byproduct of memory being organized, then remembering the dream itself would be a mistake. It would be like a librarian carefully filing every book, then insisting on also memorizing the sound the pages made. The content of the dream is scaffolding. Once the real memory is built, the scaffolding is meant to come down. But your brain doesn't stop at neglect. It goes further than that. In 2019, a team led by Thomas Kilduff, working with researchers at the University of Tsukuba, found something remarkable buried deep in the mouse brain. There is a small population of neurons in a region called the hypothalamus. These cells produce a substance with a long name, melanin concentrating hormone. What matters is not the name. What matters is when they fire. These neurons switch on most strongly during REM sleep. REM is the stage where your most vivid, story-like dreams happen. And when the scientists activated these neurons, something strange occurred. The animals became worse at remembering. When they silenced the same neurons, memory improved. In other words, they had found cells whose activity actively suppresses the storing of memory, and those cells come alive precisely during the dreaming state. Sit with what that implies. There appears to be a system in your brain that switches on during your dreams, and whose function is to make sure you don't keep them. Not carelessness, a mechanism. You have neurons that might exist, in part, to help you forget. Why would evolution build such a thing? Consider the alternative. Imagine you remembered every dream as clearly as you remember real events. Your mind would fill with memories of things that never happened. You would recall conversations that were never spoken, places that don't exist, people you never met. Over a lifetime, the line between what happened and what you merely dreamed would blur into fog. You would trust your own memory less every year. A brain that cannot tell the real from the imagined is a brain that cannot survive. Forgetting your dreams may be the price of keeping your grip on reality. There is a chemistry to this too, and it is elegant. When you are awake, your brain is bathed in a chemical called norepinephrine. It is part of what keeps you alert, focused, able to lay down memories of what is happening around you. But during REM sleep, something unusual happens. The levels of norepinephrine drop to almost nothing. The chemical that helps you record experience goes quiet at exactly the moment your dreams become most vivid. So you are having the most intense experiences of the night in a brain that has, chemically, switched off its recording equipment. The camera is rolling, but no one loaded the film. This is why the dreams you do remember are almost always the ones you woke up during. If you surface from sleep in the middle of a dream, or right at its end, you catch it before the erasing finishes. The recording equipment flickers back on just in time to grab a few frames. That's the fragment you carry into the bathroom mirror, already dissolving. Wait too long, reach for your phone, let the morning rush in, and even that is gone. You can test this yourself tonight. If you wake and lie perfectly still, eyes closed, and don't move, the dream lingers longer. Move your body, and it evaporates faster. Some researchers think this is because moving pulls your attention outward, into the present, and the present overwrites the dream. The dream can only live in the narrow doorway between sleep and waking. Step through, and you leave it behind. Not everyone forgets at the same rate, and that difference tells its own story. Some people recall dreams almost every morning. Others go years convinced they never dream at all. But here's the thing. Everyone dreams. The people who say they don't are simply people who forget faster. A researcher named Francesca Siclari, studying dreaming in Lausanne, has found that dream recall is linked to activity in a specific region at the back of the brain, sometimes called the posterior hot zone. When that region is active in a certain way, dreams feel real and are more likely to be remembered. It is less about whether you dream and more about whether the machinery of recording happened to be running when you did. There is also a personality thread here that goes back decades. The psychologist Ernest Hartmann proposed that people differ in what he called the thickness of their mental boundaries. Some people have thick boundaries. The categories in their minds are firm. Waking is waking, sleeping is sleeping, and the wall between them is high. Others have thin boundaries. For them, the states bleed together, and dreams spill more easily into waking memory. Thin boundary people tend to be the vivid dreamers, the ones who wake with whole narratives intact. It may be less a talent than a difference in how sealed the doors of your mind happen to be. And once, not so long ago, a very different explanation ruled the world. At the start of the 20th century, Sigmund Freud argued that you forget your dreams because you want to. He believed dreams were disguised wishes, often shameful ones, and that forgetting them was an act of censorship. Your waking mind, embarrassed by what the sleeping mind revealed, pushed the dream back down out of sight. For decades, this was the dominant story. Forgetting was repression. The dream held a secret, and you buried it. We now think Freud had it almost backwards. You don't forget your dreams because they mean too much. In large part, you forget them because, to your memory system, they were never meant to be kept in the first place. The forgetting isn't a cover-up. It's housekeeping. But notice what all of this leaves you with. A strange and quietly beautiful fact about being human. Every single night, you generate experience. Real, felt, lived experience, complete with fear and wonder and people you love, who may no longer be alive. And every morning, almost all of it is deliberately released. You are, in a sense, living two lives. One you keep, one you are built to let go. Think about how much of you exists only in that vanishing life. The version of you in your dreams solves problems the waking you can't. It visits places you'll never travel to. It talks to your younger self, to strangers, to the dead. And none of it is saved. You are the only witness to the richest theater on earth, and you are a witness with no memory. Some of history's turning points came from the few dreams that slipped through the net. The chemist who saw the structure of the benzene ring as a snake biting its own tail. The songwriter who woke with a finished melody in his head and spent weeks convinced he must have stolen it from someone else. Mary Shelley, who traced the seed of Frankenstein to a waking dream. These were not people who dreamed better than you. They were people who happened to catch the fragment before the erasing finished, and who reached for a pen instead of a phone. Deirdre Barrett, a psychologist at Harvard who studies exactly this, has shown that if you focus on a problem before sleep, you can nudge your dreams toward it, and sometimes wake with an answer your waking mind couldn't reach. The dreaming brain, freed from the rules of logic, makes connections the daytime brain would never risk. The tragedy is not that you dream strange things. The tragedy is how fast you throw them away. So here is a question worth carrying with you. If your brain works this hard to erase your dreams, what does it mean that a few of them survive anyway? The ones you can't shake, the recurring places, the face you've seen 100 times in sleep and never once while awake. Those are the dreams that beat the machinery. They fought their way past the neurons built to delete them. Maybe those are the ones worth listening to. Tonight, you'll dream again. You'll live a whole night of experience your waking self will never know. And tomorrow, when you wake up knowing something, and it slips away before you can name it, you'll understand now that nothing failed. That was your brain, keeping the promise it makes every night, protecting the difference between the world that happened and the world that didn't, setting you loose, clean, into the morning. You didn't lose a world. You were set free from one.